Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Parenting Tools podcast with me, Jordan.
And me, Jason. We're two parenting tools, talk about the relentless beauty and the hilarious chaos of being parents.
We're going to be talking all about our lives as dads to fairly young kids, and we're going to be putting out episodes every week, and we'd love to hear from you. So please get in touch with us at Parenting Tools Pod on Instagram and TikTok, and parentingtoolspod@gmail.com if you want to send us an email.
Also, don't forget to hit subscribe and the little notification bell on YouTube. Share it with your friends and family, and we'll have a lovely time.
Hopefully. We'll have a lovely time.
Sweet, I'm so tired of you. Sweet, I'm so tired of you treating me this way. I'm sick and then I'm...
So Jason, from your point of view, why are we putting another parenting podcast into the mix?
So, I mean, there's a few reasons, really. Very practically, as my child learns to speak and becomes a sponge, she repeats every single word she hears. And so there are very few podcasts that I can listen to in the car with her as well, without my wife telling me off quite badly. There are other reasons. But also because being a parent, there are so many ups and downs that actually having somebody as a frame of reference to tell you if that's normal, like keep going, you're doing a good job, or that's not normal, you need to get some help. That's actually just so helpful in life. And you'll know, like being a parent, there's so many sleepless nights. There's so much other stuff which goes on, which is really hard to find outlets for when you're like at a kid's party talking to other parents. Probably not the time to kind of unload all your burdens onto someone. But also to recognise that being a parent is amazing. Absolutely love it.
It is.
And so allowing space for that and actually how to be good parents, it's quite tough. So what about you? What, in your words, obviously not using my words, so why would you do that?
I think the same. So I love talking about my kids. Like, I love talking about the hilarious nature of everything that they do. But also, like you said, this to have some fun, helpful, clean content that we can listen to with the kids. Because if I don't listen to a podcast on my own, I don't listen to one. But I don't get any time on my own anymore. So it needs to be something that I can stick on with the kids in the car or whilst I'm doing some jobs with them running around the house. But also, we'll go on to it a little bit more. When we were putting the ideas out there to people about we want to do a podcast as two dads talking about our lives with young kids, we had some really interesting topics come up. And people were saying, you know, we'd love to hear about this. So to provide something that people want to hear and make them feel like they're normal and that everything they're going through is normal, even though it's completely extraordinary every single day, I think it'll be fun.
And like what you said there, like there's a part of our podcast that we've called the deep bit. Very creative.
You for school band?
But essentially we're actually not shying away from some of the more difficult parts to allow people to air some of those things. Because when I was telling similar things, some friends of mine about the podcast, it's like the floodgates just opened of there's so many things that we've struggled with behind the scenes or only a few people know about. That actually, if everyone had a space to do that, everything would just be so much better. So before we go on, I know who you are. You know who I am. Tell us a bit about yourself, your family, what you do.
So I'm Jordan. I'm 30.
Hi, Jordan.
I hit 30, which is I'm not a young adult anymore. Do you know when you do like a drop down of your age and you have to tick your age? Like I have to scroll now to get to.
You'd have been
age,
in the over 25 categories. For over 5 years. Quick maths.
So I'm 30. I've got two kids. I've got Luca, who is 2 and I don't know how many months. He's 3 in August.
Wow.
And I've got Mila, who's 9 months and is a daddy's girl and is wonderful. Amazing. And I'm married to Leanne. We've been married for 6 years.
Wow. And what do you do?
Working with local businesses on their apprenticeship recruitment and their apprenticeship schemes and helping them through that.
Very cool.
I love it. What about you? Who are you? What do you do?
So I was just about to ask you before I tell you, but what do you actually, you just said your job, but what does that look like?
It's a great question. It's a great question. So I will speak to local companies and say, do you realise there's funding available for you to take on an apprentice or for you to send one of your existing staff members on one of our degree courses and, you know, they can work through getting people into new jobs or getting people in current jobs into
Got it.
more progressive roles.
I get it now. It's like one of those things where someone tells you what they do, you just like nod, and then I realised I actually have no idea what you.
Yeah,
meant,
I've been doing it for 4 years, and I was like that for 2 of those.
So yeah, I'm Jason. I'm married to Emily. We've been married for 5 years. We've got a daughter called Noah. Yes, it's a girl. You can Google it.
It's a boy's name.
It's actually a really old girl's name as well.
You can just hear the comments.
Yeah. Yeah, she is 2 on Saturday.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that's us. We live in Sheffield. I'm a reverend.
You are a reverend.
That's very recent. I'm officially a reverend. I can put it on my passport. So I'm a pastor of a church. I lead a church in Sheffield, part of a denomination called Elim. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
If I had a trophy,
Yeah.
the coolest reverend I've ever met, I'd be passing it to you. So I've got a question as well about your job.
Go on.
Do you get a dog collar?
No.
One of those.
So essentially within our kind of movement of churches, you can get them in certain situations. So like if I was to work in certain NHS roles, I think, and like military chaplaincy, obviously in those jobs you need a collar to identify the role, I think.
Yeah.
Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. In those situations you can, but no, I don't. I don't have one.
I'm just imagining, like, how does that... Do you have, like, a measuring day where you go try on different ones, see how they feel?
What I've always wondered, is it just the collar bit or is it like a shoulder pad? Because you know it's always
braces.
Because they've always got either like a black or white shirt. I've never seen any different ones. So I wonder if it is just like a little, like, you know when you get like a fake bow tie.
Yeah.
Is it like one of those, but it comes with a full collar?
Or like a fake jumper and shirt
where it's not just the
combination.
white, but yeah, it's everything, but just the top half.
Yeah. You'll
I
have to
don't
let us know.
I don't know.
Insider knowledge.
If
Put it on
any
the
of the
TikTok.
listeners know, please let us know. This is a burning question.
If any of our reverend, very niche listeners know, let us know.
So we want to start the podcast most weeks with just a few opening questions.
From you guys, from the listeners.
So please do make sure you get in touch. We want to hear the funniest and most serious questions.
Yeah, anything goes.
You got any questions?
So yeah, I've got the first one this week, which is, and we all hate kids' TV, right, and kids' films. So the question is, which TV shows, which kids' films don't you mind? Or even, do you actually quite like?
So we've really been trying to get Noah into like movies, into films, like Pixar mainly, because I could just watch pretty much any Pixar time and time again. I'm sure I could.
Yep.
But for like the first, like honestly, 18 months of Noah's life, the only thing she wanted to watch was Cocomelon. And like it got to the point where, like, you know, when the song's like stuck in your head, like it's really like it's frustrating. It's not even funny anymore. It's really annoying.
The Wiggles.
And then
We had that with the Wiggles.
really, oh wow. And then like your spouse will just hum it in the
Yeah.
middle of the night, and then you'll be up all night. It got so bad that one night after we put Noah to sleep, it was about 9 o'clock. We accidentally put YouTube on our TV, and it automatically plays what was last playing. It's Cocomelon. We had some friends over.
Hideous.
And it started playing a song, not massive volume, just a low level. And Noah's room is like the furthest point away from in the house from the lounge, with white noise on, probably unhealthy levels. As soon as Cocomelon turned on, the babe monitor flipped on. You know, it's like before like they move. It's like a weird thing. She sat up and went, "Coco." It was so freaky. Anyway, so that's tangent.
So now we know which ones you don't want.
Have you seen Bluey? If
Yes.
you've not seen Bluey, it's like an Australian kids TV show, short episodes, but is one of the most realistic portrayal of parenting that I've seen.
Bluey was on my list.
There's one episode, like I'd actually quite watch it. I'd enjoy it for myself. I do.
Bluey's dad's a legend.
There's one episode where the dad takes 2 girls to swim in, but he forgets their swimming costumes.
Oh.
And they just stay at the swimming pool, and it's like they just have to play on the side.
Commits to the swimming.
And it's like sometimes life doesn't go your way, and it's like showing a parenting mistake, but really funny, and like the kids have to learn from it. But then there's another episode that I really like, which is about like prematurity, and so like the kids in the show, like at nursery or whatever, reenact like having and looking after a premature baby. And like for us, so Noah was born at 28 weeks, so 12 weeks early. And so we were in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, for 12 weeks, and probably even actually much longer afterwards. but like the episode really tactfully kind of goes through like all the different things, and my daughter's like learning like incubator and stuff like that from Bluey, and I remember sat there in the lounge like getting really emotional, like just at the episode.
Yeah, I bet.
And then I didn't tell my wife, of course, and then the next day she was like, "I got something to tell you. Like, don't laugh at me. I got emotional at Bluey." And I'm like, "Oh, you're such a sob."
I know the episode.
Yeah.
The one where he forgets the swimming gear.
Yeah, so that's the ones that I quite enjoy
Yeah.
Bluey. But she's not onto films yet. I cannot wait until
Yeah.
Toy Story. I watched Toy Story all the way through, back again. What about you? Are there any others that you like?
Monsters Inc. I love the
Monsters,
Monsters Inc.
Inc.
films, yeah.
That was
Monsters
classic,
Inc.
though.
1,
Mike
Monsters
Wazowski.
University. Mike. Shouldn't have done that. Yeah, I'll suggest to him, should we watch Monsters Inc? And he's like, no. Like Monsters University. So yeah, I love the Monsters Inc. films. Like you say, anything Pixar. What else is there I don't particularly mind? Bluey was one of mine. I think Bluey's dad. I actually heard on the radio, like 5 Live, saying that it's a shame that the standard of parenting for like fathers is a blue animated dog.
Yeah, that's so true. Because he's actually a really good
He's
dad.
quality. Yeah, he's quality.
A really good dad.
He's great.
And he's a dog.
I remember the first time I watched it, I said to Leanne, I was like, Lee, I've watched this programme today. It's new on the BBC, on CBeebies, trying to explain how cool Bluey's dad is. She was like, you love him? I was like, I do. I just couldn't explain that a cartoon is so on point.
And it is. It's quick as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's good viewing for adults. So,
But the problem we've had now is Luke has asked for a blue dog for Christmas. So we've had to tell him, like, blue dogs don't exist. But we are considering throwing a dog into the mix.
do you know what? I was going to say, before we even started recording, I thought you were a dog person.
Really?
You just come off as a dog person,
the
which is a
hair on me.
compliment. No, it's a compliment.
Just stink.
No, because like I was chatting to Em the other day. Cat people and dog people are very different. Like I like cats, but
You're more introverted.
I'm just a massive introvert. Dogs are very lovable animals.
So you just want to be home with your cat.
Just lock me away. It's fine. Sorry, continue.
No, that's
You're
it. That's
considering
all.
getting a dog. What type of dog?
I don't know. So the thing is, I've never grew up with dogs.
Well, I'm glad you don't know, because if you'd have told me, I probably wouldn't have known anyway.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I'm like, small talk with people. What kind of dog you got? They're like, Staffordshire Bull Terrier, crossed with a collie, and I'm like, cool. Cool. Like, not a clue. So yeah, we're thinking about throwing a dog into the mix.
It's brave.
For better,
With
for
2
worse.
kids as well.
Yeah, I like the idea of seeing them on pictures getting bigger together and them growing up with the dog. And we've just moved to a bit more of a countryside-y area, so plenty of dog walks.
Does like Luca understand the difference between like make believe and reality? Like, so when you say like blue dogs don't exist, was he like, but I could see it, or was it just fairly simple?
I don't know. That's a good question. Wow. I think he'd realise that that's a cartoon and it's not real.
I'd hope so. I just don't know what age like those sort of concepts.
Like, I think he's figured out he can't fly.
Has he tried?
He jumps off everything. Oh. Yeah, he jumps off everything. But yeah, I think if I said to him, "Oh, that's not real," he would pick up that that's not a thing that we can get.
So I've got a different question. Kind of.
Shoot.
So obviously we have 1 child.
Yep.
You have 2.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about the jump from 1 to 2 being just painful. Is the only way I can describe it. Not you understand the way I mean. And so we're at the place where Noah's turning 2 now. So we've had the serious conversations.
Do we roll the dice?
Do we roll the dice? And like we want to, but then there's just this thought which is like, I do want sleep back at some point in my life, and I don't know if I'm ready to prolong that just by another 2 years.
Yeah, and that we've had that conversation as well. It's like, do we go again? And I'm at the point now. So you've kind of said you heard that it's painful. Mm-hmm. I will confirm.
Oh no.
That it's painful. It's so all that kind of stuff, that the whole, like with 1 child where they sleep, you can sleep in the day.
Yeah.
Catch up on a bit of sleep. You can't do that with 2. And I don't know if it's because Luca is like very much a toddler, nearly 3, and he's quite an active child, and it's just him. But there's like, you lose your sleep in the night with the newborn, and then there is no catching up on the sleep in the day because you've got the toddler. So it is carnage. It's worse than painful. It's not just physical pain; it's psychological pain.
I was really hoping you'd tell me wrong that the rumours I've heard are all false.
No, they're true. They're all true. But it's so worth it when you see them. I remember the first time we brought Mila home, we brought Luca in, and he walked in, and he was just so gentle with her. And then he passed it. He's got this teddy that goes everywhere. If you see pictures of him, he's got this teddy under his arm, and he passed her the teddy.
Oh,
And it was kind of like, I approve of you.
that's so
You
sweet.
can stay. So like moments like that make it all worthwhile. But then also knowing that we've got it all done and out of the way.
That's very true. And like, I think even in that, like, short example is the dichotomy of parenting.
Go on.
Was that right?
Not a clue. But I love it.
The disparity, something like that. The polar opposites of like it being like really painful and horrendous, but then also just incredible. Of like we were chatting before. It's like when you just linger when you go in shopping, when like I just had to go out because we needed bread, and obviously bread's really important.
Yeah.
So I had to go to Aldi during like
that bread.
bedtime routine. So it's really crucial. We need to do this bread, and then like you just find yourself in Aldi looking at the middle aisle for like half an hour.
I did the whole thing of like making a coffee and put the mug of coffee in the fridge the other day instead of the milk.
Okay, yeah.
It's kind of, and you're thinking, what am I doing? You're just so tired. And then we've got, the other day I was in the shower and I was just leaning against the shower screen, just like my head against the shower screen. And then Liam walked in and just went, what are you doing? And I was like, I just need a minute.
This is your time. Your safe space.
This is my zone. And I was just there zoning out. But yeah, I always say, like, being a parent and kids are like the best.
Yeah.
But they're the worst as well. Like, they're also the worst. They're the best. The best things, wouldn't trade them for the world, but they're the worst.
Yeah, it's like we have this thing where, I say we have this thing, I'm sure many other people do it too, where one of us will like have to go upstairs for something, and then obviously the other one's looking after the child, and then like 2 minutes go by and there's just no movement from upstairs.
Yeah.
It's like, first was, they're okay, hope they're all right. 5 minutes go by, they're just lying in bed, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we started now using our daughter to combat the issue of going, let's go see mummy in bed.
Yeah.
And so then we take her upstairs. She gets excited because mummy's lying down on the bed, and I just go back downstairs.
It's brilliant.
And it's twisted,
but it's brilliant.
There's like a 2-minute break where I just sit on the sofa, and have you seen Avengers?
Yep.
Yeah. When sounds so wrong. When Thanos is like finished, and he's just like in the.
What's the line? He just sat there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 2 minutes of that, and then Thor comes and chops your head off.
Yeah. Thor. Here she comes to decapitate me. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah, I've lost count the amount of times that I've just fallen asleep, putting Luca down for a nap, and fallen asleep before him.
Oh,
and
that's
then
the best. I love that.
The next thing I know, Leanne's bringing him upstairs again and waking me up because he's just gone downstairs. And it's like do you know, like some like kids normally will pretend to be asleep?
Yeah.
And so you leave. It's like he waits for me to fall asleep,
And then leaves.
so then he can leave.
Clever.
Like,
It's clever.
but yeah, I think moving on, we've picked a great time to start the podcast because it was Father's Day.
Yes.
Sunday.
Yes, it was.
How
Sunday.
did you get on?
I think I had a very similar experience to you, really. I've heard some of your story. That's your story, your experience.
The Derek and Rodneys.
The what?
The Trotters. The Derek and Rodneys. So I had a sickness bug. I had a sickness bug.
To clarify, that's what you mean, right?
Yeah.
The squits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a sickness bug, and I was meant to be speaking at our Father's Day service. So I had to call in sick.
The worst as well.
I didn't say I've got the Derek and Rodneys. I just said I've got a sickness bug and I'm afraid I won't be there tomorrow. Fortunately, I was fine on Sunday. But on Saturday, Leanne realised I was in a bit of a bad way and took the kids out without waking me up. And I slept in till 11:30.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Or evening?
I slept in. It's the evening. I slept for 24 hours. I slept more that day than I think I had in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
So yeah, that was nice. The rest of it, not so.
So I had a very similar experience. But so we had Father's Day service on Sunday, but on the morning, I forgot about this. We woke up and Noah was really unwell. And so like we had the conversation. So I usually leave for church at like really early, like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up and we had to have the conversation, like, how serious is this? And it was like, oh, we might have to go to A&E. So like,
Really? Wow.
so we were like, okay, let's hold off. And so like, I get stressed if I'm not somewhere really early.
Yeah.
I had nothing to prepare. I was all sorted. I just like to be there.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, I was getting a little bit stressed. Noah was unwell. And we were kind of umming and ahhing whether to go or not, and how logistically are we going to go to A&E and still do church and all that sort of stuff.
How do you explain in A&E that I've got the runs? And that is why I'm here.
So that's all right. So Noah wasn't ill for that. Noah
You're taking Noah to A&E?
Yeah, we're taking
Oh,
Noah,
okay.
yeah.
Bless her.
So she ended up having a urine infection, an ear infection, and a throat infection.
I'm glad I made a joke about it now. Wow.
So
Thank
it was
you.
like, it was all three. But so we decided not to take her to see how she goes into the end of church. So I go to church, bit stressed out, do Father's Day, it was great. Come home and it's not looking good. So what doesn't help is we also had a evening service.
Wow.
So we'd had Father's Day meal at my in-laws, and then when I went to church, by the time I got home, Em had already called in the in-laws, so they'd taken
Got the
Noah.
reinforcements.
And so I'd come home, and I thought, first I thought, oh, this is going to be a great night. Like, play Xbox, watch movies, it'd be fantastic, and still get sleep. But then I heard the horrendous wrenching sound.
Oh, no.
So Em was vomiting all night, and then I was vomiting all night.
No.
And like barely slept anything. And so then on Monday, I slept from like, you slept till 11 in the morning. I slept from 11 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Complete write-off. So that was Father's Day.
So Sunday was write-off, Monday was a write-off. And then did you celebrate Father's Day a bit later?
No, that was it.
It was written off.
we kind of missed the boat. We did a little bit of celebrating, but then
Yeah.
it was gone. Another question for you. Not a question, more of rumours of a milestone happening this Saturday.
Yep. Parenting milestone, big parenting
Go on.
milestone. So we've got we've got Noah's party Saturday morning. We will be there, having a great time.
Yeah, boy.
And then after that, we've got another kids party. So we've got back to back.
Brave.
We've got 3 actually Saturday. The last one's a dedication party.
3 events
So yeah,
with 2
got
children.
3 parties based around kids on Saturday, and then but the second one is a kids party, and we don't know the family, we don't know the parents.
Ah, yes.
So the invitation, Luca went to nursery, came back with an invitation for a
Yeah.
party. We haven't got a clue who they are, what they're like, what their interests are. So like picking a present was kind of hard.
Has it got a theme? Has the party got a theme? Or is it just like one of those generic invites
I'm trying to
where they
think
just
of the
write the
invite
names
now.
on it?
If it's got a theme, the missus is onto it, and she knows. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting because we've never done that before. It's always like when you've got kids that are babies, you just invite your friends
Yeah.
and people that are in their life to the party. Whereas now we don't know.
Like
who's gonna
your
be
kids
there.
are making friends.
Yeah.
How do you feel in that environment? So like, obviously meeting people that you don't know, like 'cause I would find that quite awkward. In fact, I do find it quite awkward. Are you comfortable? Like,
Yeah, I love meeting new people. I love people. But it is kind of just finding that common ground, which I think having kids will help.
yeah.
'Cause, straight away, you've got kids.
But how do you then transition out of just talking about your kids?
Oh,
is
so,
is that weird?
So
Like,
which team do you support? And if they say, "Oh, I don't really follow football," I'm lost.
You don't.
I'm lost. Yeah.
Or do you just strictly keep it to kids until like 3rd date? And when I say date, I mean encounter.
Me and Barry on to 3rd date. Who's called Barry? Yeah, probably just about the kids. But the good thing is, my youngest nephew goes to the same nursery,
Okay, so there's
he's
people
going to
there
be
that you already
there,
know.
and my sister and brother-in-law, one of them will be there.
So like so one of the things that I don't like about when like going to like a soft play with like other people's kids there,
soft plays. We could have an episode on soft plays.
all of that sort of stuff. What I find really awkward is that when somebody else's kid who you don't know the parents, they snatch something off your kid.
Yeah.
It's like, 'cause if my child does the snatching, I can deal with that.
It's like, how do you tell off someone else's
tell her
child?
off. But yeah, how do you approach that situation?
I would ignore it.
Just flat out.
I'd be like, it's okay. I'd try and find something similar and give it to Luca or something better. And be like, here you go. We call him Dukes. I'd be like, here you go, Dukes.
Because Em, I think I've seen Em do it. She's told off other people's kids
Really?
before.
She's gone in?
Yeah. And like, I always get really nervous. I'm like, what? This is going to turn into a fight. What's
Wow.
going to go on? But it's always done like in a really good way.
Yeah.
Like she's really good with kids.
No,
but
thank you.
I'm just...
So all I need to do is bring Emily along
she will tell off.
to the party.
But the thing is, she's one of those parents that goes into the soft play as
Dives
well.
in.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'll sit at the side
Take your shoes off.
like a normal human.
Yeah.
And she's like actually in there.
I love
like
a
in
slide,
the
I
ball
can't
pit,
lie.
climbing up the slide. You
I'm
do that as well.
I'm going to ball pit. I don't want to catch cold. Go
Thank you.
seeking out the flu.
Every single time that Em wants to take Noah to like a Dobby's. Dobby's is the worst place. Don't go there.
Don't know
Anyway,
what that is.
It's like there's got a soft play basically.
Okay.
Any soft play is literally just a cesspool of germs.
Right. Well, it is, yeah.
Every single time she comes out with another cold, it's like
Yeah. No, I'm not about that life.
No.
I'll go down a slide all day, but I avoid the ball pit. So the next part of the show that we will be getting into is our daddy issues. And what I mean by that is we're going to be talking
digging
about
into our childhoods.
Yeah,
No.
we're gonna be digging up old trauma. We're going to be talking about the issues that we're facing at the minute, and that can be as trivial or as lighthearted or as serious as whatever we're facing at that time.
Yeah.
So mine this week is a painful one, it's
Going deep.
yeah. This is probably be the deepest thing we talk about. It's a serious issue. So my daughter Mila is learning to stand, and she's pretty much cracked it. However, it's getting warm, and
It's
the legs
very
are
warm.
out. So
Your legs or
yeah,
hers?
mine.
Yeah.
Well,
Both. Don't want to get my overheating.
Everyone's legs everywhere. So shorts are on, legs are out. Now she will pull on anything to stand up, and my leg hair is taking a battering because as soon as I walk in the room, she's a proper daddy's girl, and don't get me wrong, I'm honoured to be the chosen one. She just comes up to me, crawls along the floor, and she will just pull on my leg hair like it's rope, and just stand up. And my legs are burning. And because, like, their hands are so clammy and disgusting, aren't they? And she's like, whatever she's just crawled through ends up on my leg. And she's just pulling my leg hair. And it just feels like someone's putting cigarettes out on my leg. But to the point where yesterday she was sat on my lap, grabbed a load of leg hair, and I just let out a scream. And she turned around and looked at me, and just the lip went. And I was like, it's okay. Daddy loves it when you pull his leg hair. I was like... And then she just started crying. And then she was looking for Leanne, and she was like putting her arms out. Like she just wanted away from me. Like, don't get me wrong, I wanted
that's the worst.
I wanted to pass her off. But I was like, oh, it's okay, Mai. And she was just crying, reaching out for anyone that wasn't me. And then the other day, Leanne said, you know this is going to happen. Put some trousers on. I'm like, it's so warm.
Like it's so hot. Like I'm sweating now.
Yeah, I can't. So yeah, that's my daddy issue at the minute. That's plaguing my life.
I mean, I'm sure it's painful. I've never heard of that. I've never encountered that issue before.
Well, I don't think now I've come to think of it, I don't think I have.
If there's anyone listening that has encountered that problem,
Let us know.
please let me know. Otherwise, George is suffering in
Back me
silence. Well, not silence by yourself though.
It's definitely not silent. Just taking a good few minutes to moan about it. And the other thing with her standing up is just constant falling. So she's always got a bruise on her forehead. She will putting her down to sleep is a nightmare now because as soon as you put her down, she rolls over, she stands up, but then
Yeah.
she's tired and her hands are falling through the bar, and then her head's just like hitting the cot.
Yeah.
She's always got a bruise, and then I'm stressing out. I'm like, just lie down. Like it's better for all of us.
It's like negotiating with terrorists. Like we're talking, isn't it? It's like just go to sleep. Just go to sleep.
Yeah.
They're like, okay. As soon as you leave, up.
Yeah, but no, the standing up. I'm so proud of her, but it's just caused problems for my legs.
So the moment that hit me was like, you know, when you were saying that she like didn't want to hold you, she was like wanted a mummy, like that thing. So does she go in phases? So like I will often have probably a few days where I'm like the favourite, and then it'll quickly revert back to the mum.
Right, I'm with you. No.
Nice.
She's a daddy's girl. And Luke is a daddy's boy as well. And I think that's just because my wife's on maternity leave, so she's with him in the day, so it's a bit more fun and a bit more exciting when I come downstairs from the office and he's like, Daddy, you finished? Aww. And I'm like, no, not yet. And then I'll come down for to use the toilet or get a drink. He's like, Daddy, you finished? Not yet. So I think it's just a bit more of a novelty that I'm there. I think if we were to swap roles and I was with them all day, he'd soon be a mummy's boy, I'm sure. But no, Mila's definitely a daddy's girl, and it's the best.
Oh, bless him.
What about you? What's your daddy issue?
So I'm going to go deep.
Yeah?
Yeah, deep. So
Episode 1, we're going deep.
Episode 1. I don't know if you've come across a guy called Jordan Peterson. So he, how do I best describe it? I've only been introduced to him recently. He's like a lecturer, maybe philosopher. He's on TikTok. Not sure if those things will go together. On
All
YouTube
the philosophers
as well.
are on TikTok.
But essentially, I found it from basically just a reel or a whatever it's called, where he's saying that like your kids are only 0 to 4 once.
Yeah.
But the point is, he was saying that that's the most development. That's the most time where they develop in that sort of space.
Like they change every day.
They change every
soaking
day,
everything up.
and like that's also the most influential development time for the rest of their life. So there's a lot of things that will happen between like those ages that you will carry into your adulthood. So I mean, there's loads of studies that have been done to that, even like insecurities that we hold on to since we were like little kids. And so he was basically saying the clip's all about like making the most of the time you've got.
Yeah.
And one thing that like has been really highlighted from COVID.
I'm now just thinking of all the mistakes I've made. I wish I'd known this 2 years ago.
One of the things that's highlighted is like actually changing work rhythms and life to be around for the kids more.
Right.
Because like what's expected, like traditionally what's expected is you work 9 to 5, you work as much as you can like to provide for your family.
Yeah.
And like maybe that's a man thing, maybe it's not. It's definitely ingrained in me of like even insecurities of like I need to provide more. Like that's I take that on as my role, even though my wife has a much like higher job than me. Like it's very posh. But that's still like ingrained in me. Like I have to provide.
Yeah.
But then also understanding my responsibility of like my parents couldn't afford to take off time from work because they literally had to work everything they could to afford to live and to look after us. We're fortunately not in that position where we can reduce like working life slightly to be able to be around the kids more. Yeah. And so like I found myself now in a place where when other people are coming up to me like thinking about having kids, I'm like, would you consider putting your career on hold for a few years? And when I hold, I just mean just a slower pace. Just let things, don't try and pursue your career to be the best you can so that you can focus on your family a little bit more.
Right.
What I think is happening is that because of COVID, there's loads of people who have experienced home life with kids who had not done before. And it's like you discover this whole thing which was going on. Would you say that was your experience? What was that like for you? Have you thought about your family balance more because of COVID?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I won't say it's something I've thought about, but it's something I've been made aware of because of lockdown. So we went into lockdown and Luca was 7 months old. And so from him being born to that point, it was out of the door every day. I work 8 till 4. So that was, you leave, you go to work, you come back.
Yeah.
Then we went into lockdown. Obviously, COVID was bad. It was really bad and it was really serious. But for me, it put me in the house. Yeah. And I got to see him change every day. Yeah. And I got to see all those moments and all those firsts where, my dad and your dad kind of generation before us definitely didn't have that opportunity. They didn't have smartphones, so they didn't get videos and pictures, which like some of my older friends would.
Yeah.
You know, they'd be in the office and they'd see a picture of their kid standing up or crawling or whatever. But I was there. Like he'd do something and Leanne would shout me and I'd just run downstairs.
Yeah.
And it was great. I'd work in, you know, the spare room and I'd be around him every day as he was changing so much. So yeah, that was really quite beneficial for me. I loved that. And I know now from, like I mentioned before, working at the university and working with local businesses and kind of recruitment, that hybrid working is quite a priority for a lot of people now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's with kids in mind because I don't know that information, but I imagine it is for some people. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that's cropping up on the agenda.
Yeah.
And why not? We can do it.
I think it's, for me, like, I'm really well. Like, I can't just not work and like be at home all the time. But it's more like those moments you can't get back.
Yeah.
And it's not about just having them all the time of like being there for every single moment, because like you've got to work and you've got to do stuff as well. But it's actually creating space where I'm there for more moments than I miss. And like, I don't want to just get like a few years down the line and just hear loads of memories that maybe Em has with Noah or even her grandparents have with Noah, and I just have none of them. Like the other day, we were just in the garden, actually enjoy one of the purchases that you'd recommended to us, a swing.
Oh, nice.
It's the little, we'd had a swing out there, but not one that Noah could sit in. So we got a little baby one from Amazon. There we go. We're not sponsored.
Put a link in the description below.
Amazon, you can sponsor us.
They are good though, aren't they?
They're brilliant. So like, but the thing is, like Noah loves it. Like to the point where literally, like she will wake up really annoyingly at the moment, like 2 or 3 times a night. It's a nightmare. But every single time she wakes up, like legitimately, she'll wake up, sit up and go, swing, outside. Daddy bought a swing, go on swing. And it's like, oh, she loves it. Like
I feel
literally.
like I'm at fault.
But the thing is, like, I don't even mind because, like, literally for the last 3 or 4 days, she has spent an hour and a half on that swing, like each day.
Yeah.
As soon as she comes home from either looking her nanny look after her or being with me or Em, straight on the swing. And it's like, it's so mind numbing because all I have to do is push. She loves it.
Got tennis down.
And like she's happily chatting to me without a response. She loves it.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's one of those moments where like you often see in movies, like with the flashbacks of like people looking back to when their dad was pushing them on a swing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm just enjoying that space where like, I love my job. And the reality is if I gave 100% of my life to the job, things would progress quicker, but I'd lose out so much more at home.
Yeah.
And
so it's
like,
that like internal battle of, I want to provide, so I'll do more to get up the career ladder.
Yeah.
But I lose time at home if I do that.
Yeah.
Right, I'm with you.
Yeah, and it's also the side of it of even like for me being selfish of I want my life to mean something, but actually I've had to go through the process of going. Actually, part of that is my child.
Yeah.
Like actually, how I raise my child is actually part of my life meaning something, and so yeah, things might progress in the work slower for the next few years. Like things will still progress, but actually not understanding that I'm not going to sacrifice those important moments.
Right.
Because when they're older, she probably won't want to hang out with me as much.
Yeah.
So I can take it while I can.
Just be like the young cool dad.
Yeah.
Do you want to go in the swing? Well, that came out of lockdown as well.
Yeah.
So obviously they closed the parks, so I went and bought him a swing, and it was great. And it was like you're saying, it's that kind of, you're not getting that time back. You're not gonna get those memories back, or you won't make those memories if you were sat in the office 9 to 5 every day. So yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's not as serious as leg hair pulling. You had to lower the tone with your juvenile topics.
So one of the things we want to do on this podcast is really, especially in that section and also the funny sections, but really open up to hear your stories.
Yeah.
But not shy away from the deep topics, the stuff that we probably don't talk about a lot with other people or parents, but actually give a space to kind of air some of those worries, those anxieties, some of those even like traumatic times.
Yeah.
Because what I've found is that so many of the parents have a similar experience where they've experienced some sort of dramatic sort of trauma, and that simply just by airing that, they've found like common ground with that and actually some
Yeah.
relief. So please do send in your stories, send in your funny bits.
Yeah, please do. Please do. And we'll also be getting some guests in as well.
Yeah.
People that have got some more experience of different areas than we have. So yeah, that'll be fun. Get some people in to hear from different perspectives.
Amazing. Episode 1, Jord.
Episode 1 done and dusted.
Amazing. So if you want to get in contact with us,
It is parentingtoolspod@gmail.com if you want to email in, or if you're on Instagram or TikTok, it's @parentingtoolspod.
amazing. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, share it with your friends and family, and also you can subscribe on Spotify and on iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. How lovely is that?
Yeah, great.
Amazing.
Bring on episode 2.
Must have his day.